I've been talking to a lot of friends and family and clients recently, and it seems like there's a lot of stress. And underneath that is a fair amount of fear. So I've been thinking about that. How can we stay healthy, happy, and calm during this time? Some of the things that are causing that fear and stress is the geopolitical situation throughout the world, all throughout the whole globe right now. There's like tension, there's an attitude of contention, it seems. And also there are stresses coming from the environment. Now that's interrelated with the first part, but a lot of us see that the environment is suffering and that we're not taking care of it. And even though we might not be thinking about it during the day, it's there in the background. It's working on us subliminally, subconsciously. So the other one is now becoming more exacerbated, and that is stress and fear that we have about emerging technologies. And they're accelerating in their development. And a lot of us either don't have the desire, will, or capacity to keep up with it. And when we see what these technologies are able to do, it can make us fearful for our well-being, for our autonomy as human beings. Of course, I'm talking about artificial intelligence. I'm talking about driverless cars, things that are taking the place of what we do to interact with other humans, to interact with our environment, our earth, our relationships. I think that it kind of creates a neutering effect if we allow it. Linear thinking is also part of it. We see things on a linear timeline, and that is part of what creates fear. And this fear, stress, linear thinking exists within certain frequencies. Now, the human being is vibrating in a frequency band. And so when we exaggerate certain parts of those frequency bands, then we become trapped in that linear timeline, in that stress fear paradigm. And so I thought I'd just mention a few quick ways that we can work with every day in our life flow to offset these negative emotions that we're experiencing and put things into perspective. So one, of course, is meditation. 20 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of meditation brings the frequency and the vibration of the nervous system and the energy system into what you might call a theta or delta type of vibration. In that vibration, we transcend the linear timeline and we get a different perspective. We see more of what's actually happening in a bigger picture. And just from that alone, we become more relaxed and less fearful. Another alternative that I work with is called light body activation, and that has similar effect, if not the same, where it brings us into this more theta delta state, where our frequency is nonlinear and our perspective becomes expanded. So we can take this approach of going into this light body activation. Now, connected to both of those two that I mentioned, we have the possibility to balance out and to create harmony in the chakra system. This is something that you can work with from knowledge that you have. And if it's something that you're seeking to find out more about, you can get in touch with us because we have a whole program for chakra balancing. Another thing that can be really helpful in the day-to-day flow, and another thing that I think is causing stress, most people have some interaction with social media. And even if you go on just to be in contact with friends or family and see what's happening through the social media environment, it's hard not to see other things that are being posted. And a lot of it's so hostile and derogatory, and where people are just talking in such an unkind way to each other. So we can notice that, or we do notice it, and it's disturbing. So what we think and how we say things, that's what we can put into the global grid, the global brain. We can notice within ourselves, how are we thinking? How are we talking to others, known and unknown, family, friends, but people that we just see also making comments. How are we talking inside ourselves? We can notice that. And if it's also unkind or aggressive, we can modify that, because that's what we can put into the global grid and promote the idea of talking kindly with each other, even if we don't agree, even if we um, strongly disagree. We can still talk in a respectful way to each other. And of course, noticing how we're actually talking to each other, how we're writing toward each other, and having a goal to talk more kindly and more caringly, more empathetically, even if we don't agree with each other. So those are just some ideas of what we can do, what we can focus on to offset this intensity and accelerating pressure that's coming from the things that I talked about in the beginning. So hope you'll consider that. Get in touch with us if you want to discuss those things further. We would love to hear from you and understand how you're thinking about it, and to see comments that you're making about these things.